Passaria então a palavra para o Sr. Engenheiro Arturo Ruiz-Falcó, licenciado em Arquitetura Naval e Engenharia Marítima pela Universidade Politécnica de Madrid, MBA em Certificação da Qualidade e Fiabilidade Industrial pela Sociedade Americana de Qualidade. Atualmente é membro do Cluster Marítimo Espanhol e, no seu percurso profissional, foi engenheiro de qualidade e fiabilidade de indústrias tais como a nuclear, a aeronáutica e a de telecomunicações, e foi consultor especialista em métodos estatísticos de qualidade. Tenho a palavra, Sr. Engenheiro Arturo Ruiz-Falcó.
Obrigado. Well, first of all, I should apologize because my Portuguese is not good enough to speak Portuñol, so I'll try to speak Spanglish then. Secondly, obviously, I want to say thank you to the organizer to invite us to be here. I think it's a good opportunity to tighten our links with your and these organizations. And thirdly, I shall apologize Mr. Cerezo, our Vice President, who was not able to be here due to some personal reasons. Okay, so I try to make a brief description of our cluster, what we are, and our short story and the lessons we have learned in these years. So, we are not very old. We were founded in 2007. At the same time, the Blue Book was born. The first years were not easy. Well, first years are never easy. Fabrice mentioned so, talking about the European cluster, and this is our experience. Our first years were not easy. We started with 17 founding members. Obviously, the key organization in Spain were in, so it facilitates things. But, well, when we have three people pulling the cart, so there were Mr. Cerezo, our vice president, Mr. Miguel Pardo, who was then the president, and Mr. Esteve. Always something go wrong. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong, as we all know. Mr. Pardo, who was a helpful 60-something man, well, he was helpful, but he suddenly died by a heart attack. So, Mr. Cerezo grabbed the helm, convoked elections, and then Mr. Esteve was elected chairman. So, after this period, we have grown. Up to now, I think we can say we are established. We have somehow financial helpful, and now we are 67 members. Well, I think most of the relevant organizations in Spain are in. Obviously, some are not, and we hope to join them not very long from now. And if we go through the spectrum of organizations, we find that, well, for instance, the two main trade unions in Spain are in, so it's very important, you know, the social part of the matter counts. We go to the shipping subsector, so the main shipping lines are in, and what is more important, the shipping owner organization is a member of the cluster. Regarding shipbuildings, all the biggest shipbuildings and the shipbuilding organization is in the cluster. If you go to regional clusters, all the biggest regional clusters of Spain are in. So, in that sense, we can say we are a cluster of clusters with the difficulties it have, as I'll address later. Recreational boating, the same, the main organization is in. Research, well, the main bodies are in. So the Spanish Institute of Oceanography, whose director will be here later, is one of our members. Fishing, which is very important in Spain, as you know, the main engineering companies are in. If we go to maritime service, well, you know, this is something very broad, but we have organizations like Banco Santander, which is one of the Spanish giants in finance. Obviously, they do many things else about maritime, but they are important maritime insurance companies and so on. And, well, I think we are missing some which could be important, but I don't want to mention here that our Navy our Spanish Armada is a member of the cluster. They are honorary member, and we have very good cooperation with them. And so we learned a lot from them, and they support us with their facilities and influence in the country. So I want to show this because, well, it's not easy for us to be like we are. Some of our members are regional maritime clusters, so they are clusters. Some of our members are industrial associations, and some others are professional associations. For instance, the Spanish Naval Architects Association is a member. And obviously there are other normal companies and public bodies. So sometimes the cooperation is not easy because we don't want to do what they have to do. I mean, something what can be done by a regional cluster alone, we should not do it. It's up to them. Something which is just concerned to a specific sub-industry, well, this is up to them. We shall not interfere. Well, in case we are asked for some help, obviously we pay this help. But our intention is not to replace them. So at the moment, we're working on this basis, and it is working reasonably well. Well, I want to go to strategy. Well, we have 5 axes, 5 strategical axes. Well, as an engineer, I can tell you that no machines can work in more than 3 axes at the same time. Well, this is a little joke. If we go into strategy, obviously we have to prioritize. We have made the biggest effort in society and image. And I have to explain you why, and I'm sure you will understand. Well, yesterday, Professor Offenbach reminded us that just 10 years after Columbus set the foot on America, Spain and Portugal sat on a table, and then we decided to split the ocean into 2 sides. So up to this meridian was for you, and from this meridian was for us. So I draw 3 conclusions from that. First, I think it was Atlantic operations. So we did it 500 years ago, so we can't do it in the past. So we have this clarity 500 years ago. Second, with that we prove we both had a very strong maritime knowledge. Well, 500 years ago, there was no GPS to know the meridian you are on. But that's not all. Even it was not up to 250 years later when the ships were able to carry a chronometer to start the latitude they were navigating on. So at that moment, we had a lot of maritime knowledge. Perhaps you had more than us, since you probably knew the body of Brazil was on your side. And third, we proved from that moment we had maritime power, and we are able to sustain that for many years. So these are commonalities, but we have some differences. The main one, I think, is that Mr. Cavaco Silva can smell the ocean from his office, and the same Mr. Paso Coelho does. It's not the case of the Spanish government. The Spanish government is 450 kilometers from the closest shore. Therefore, we feel the necessity to remind them that the sea is important for us. We feel the necessity to remind them that we are good not just under sport, in football, basketball, Nadal, and so on. So we are good at sea, and what is more important is that sea is very important and crucial for us. We have the necessity to remind that to our government. And this is what we have done. Well, we have done in very different occasions. Well, Mr. López Garrido, who was here yesterday, was one of the first men who have a meeting with, and we had the opportunity to have a common breakfast with him, and then we spoke some problems. In these latest 2 years, we have done that about 15 times. Every year we have what we call the Spanish Maritime Prizes, and these 2 latest editions are celebrated under the Presidents of Honor of our Prince, the Prince of Asturias, who is the heir of the Crown of Spain. The next edition will be on 13th of December. Well, in spite of these things, which I think are crucial and very important, obviously funny and social, we have done some other things. Some are also related to communications. We have improved very much our, website. Well, we intend to be a focal point in information in the Spanish language on maritime sector. Well, we are uploading a lot of news every day, and we can find a lot of information there. Well, you know, Spanish is a kind of portuñol, so I think you can understand most of what is written there, and therefore you can make a good use of it. And if you go to technical events, we also do that. We join some experts of some specific matters. For instance, last week we had a meeting in it was held in the headquarters of the Spanish Navy, and we had a meeting on education and training. It was very, very constructive at that moment. And our main project was to perform and study on our capabilities on offshore, wind offshore. As you know, in the past we have very, very relevant companies in wind power, onshore wind power, and we have maritime capabilities, so there's no problem to go and to follow these paths. Okay, now we are on a consolidation phase. We are working, we're a proud member of the European network of maritime clusters, and we cooperate with them with our best will. We have a problem in this cooperation because in Europe we don't have a common definition of meter if you go to sea economy. I put you a rough example and you will understand. Let's think two members that are comparing their economic figures in maritime tourism. Okay, let's say member A is very good in nautic charting, for instance, and leisure fishing. And they say, okay, my number of jobs is X, and my income for this is Y. Okay, we could multiply this figure by 1 million without lying if we just include as maritime tourists all of our hotels in the coast.
Mr. Arturo Ruiz, if you could please summarize.
Yes, I finished. So, therefore, we have to define how these figures are collected to be able to compare, because we cannot manage an Atlantic strategy if we are not able to measure that in a scientific way. Well, that's all what I want to say. Just to say thank you for your attention and to wish you a very successful cooperation in this development of the Atlantic policy. Thank you very much. Bye.